Hi everyone, I'm Autistic Ange. This is a podcast for adults who recently found out they're autistic and are looking for other autistic people like them. Before I forget, because this is about forgetting, I realized that I've done probably a lot of episodes in a 6-month period of time, which might be a lot for a new podcast, but whatever. But anyways, I am bound to repeat myself if I haven't already. And so if you're sitting there oh, she's already talked about this before, why do I have to hear it again? It's because I don't remember if I talked about it, or I don't know. That's probably what it is. Autistic brain plus menopause brain plus marijuana brain equals a whole bunch of brain fog and memory problems. I mean, it's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, I have a good memory with a lot of things, but with a lot of things I don't. So anyways, all this to say, sorry for repeating myself going forward. The reason why I say that is because I'm pretty sure I did an episode similar to this before, because it's about the things that I think about that are considered weird. I'm pretty sure I did an episode like this, but I think this is different stuff I'm talking about today. What brought this up was my wife goes to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock because she has to get up at 4:15 in the morning to go to work. And so we don't get to see each other very much during the week. And at night, we do a check-in, or I don't know if it's a check-in. It's just we do I don't know. It's just talking. We got she's going to bed. I lay in the bed. We talk about random things for 10 minutes. Then she starts feeling really tired and then I leave. So we were doing that last night, and I don't remember what exactly we were talking about that prompted me to say this thing, but I said, I wonder what it would be like to have chloroform used on me. If you don't know what chloroform is, please go look it up. I don't know how to explain it. So this is an instance where I guess TV and the movies are not the same as real life. And I'm not that naive to think that everything's the same on TV and movies as in real life. I know that's not true. Things are usually embellished in the acting world, but I have seen so many different shows over the years. I mean, I don't want it to sound like that's all I watch. If you're watching a murder show or something, somebody's bound to get knocked out with chloroform. Someone's going to come up behind them and put that little cloth around their, in front of, on their face, and then they pass out. And I was just thinking, I wonder how long does it take to pass out? What does the person, experience prior to passing out? Is there any way to think myself out of passing out? So, if somebody was, putting a rag with chloroform over my face and I felt like I was about to pass out, could I fight that urge just with my mind? This is really ridiculous shit to even talk about, and I'm sorry I'm doing an episode on this, but to me, this is just a normal, everyday curiosity. And I'm pretty sure I feel pretty okay talking about that here, because I know that there's, I know a good portion of you guys will understand that I'm not trying to be a creep or a weirdo. I just think about so many things, and I am so curious that I try to imagine what would it be like to experience that thing. And so my wife, as soon as I said that, she gave me this look what the fuck? I cannot believe you just said that. And I thought she was weird for giving me that look. I'm what the fuck yourself? Why are you looking at me like I'm weird for saying that? And she goes, well, who says that they want to try chloroform? I mean, I get how it sounds, but I told her, I was it's not I'm going to go looking for it on the black market or try to fucking create it. If I happen to stumble across chloroform, I'd like to try it. And she's like, where would you stumble across that? I don't know. but maybe I will one day. And if I do, I'll remember like, oh, I have thought so many times about what would it feel like to try this. So she looks it up on her phone and she's like, it says that like you can die and all these like things that can go wrong. And I'm like, well, on TV, it just looks like they pass out and then wake up a little while later. And that's what I'm like, well, like, why is everybody lying about it then? Why does like everybody who has a scene with somebody getting knocked out with chloroform make it look like it's no big deal? And then they just wake up like an hour or two later, or when you put those smelling salts under their nose or whatever it is. So yeah, we went back and forth on that for like a few minutes, and I'm just surprised. I was like, are you really think that like I'm that weird for like wondering what that would feel like? Um, like I see both sides of it, but when I think of like when I'm curious about things or I wonder about stuff, like isn't that just normal to try to imagine what something would feel like if you've never experienced it before? Because I know there's a lot of times throughout my life where there's just like certain situations that I cannot for the life of me understand why somebody did the thing that they did or thought the thing that they thought. I can't figure it out. And so the only way I can understand that is if at some point I experienced that thing myself. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. Not that this is the same thing as chloroform. Oh my God, like I can't even believe I'm doing an episode about this. But so that got me thinking about like, well, I don't think the things I think about are weird. I told her, my wife, I was like, I think you're weird for not thinking about things like this. Like, we're on this planet. How the fuck did we get here? What are we doing here? Like, how did all this happen? And so then I tried to explain to her how normal it is to wonder what chloroform feels like. I tried explaining this to her by giving her another example of something that I've thought about. And I'm not a serial killer. You don't have to turn me in or anything like that. I don't have bodies in the backyard. But like I told my wife, I was like, well, I've thought about like, if I were a murderer, how would I dispose of a body? And I'm sorry, but like I spent years reading true crime books. I watched Dateline. I watched 48, like I watch all that shit. 2020. Not as much as I used to, but I would watch these shows and it's always the same. Like they bury the body in the fucking woods or they throw it in the river or they burn, like it's always like the same handful of methods or whatever. And so like I would always think like, well, if I were to kill somebody, like how would I dispose of the body in a way that nobody would ever be able to link it to me? They would never find it. It would be unlike anything any serial killer has done before. And I just realized how that sounded saying that out loud. But I don't think it's weird to think that. I mean, I used to like, when I went to community college, before I was able to drive, like before I got a car here, I had to walk up this like ginormous hill to get to college because I refused to ride sorry about the tangent, because I refused to ride the bus that brings me up the hill because I didn't want to be stuck on a bus with all those people. So I walked up that huge hill every fucking day for school. And there's ditches on both sides of the road, like huge ditches. And I would always like be walking on the side, looking off into the ditch to see if I could find any bodies. Because I thought to myself, this is where people would put them. You just stop the car, push them out. They felt like, who would know that they're down here in this ditch? Like maybe I'll see like a foot poking up or something. It's fucking weird. I mean, I don't think it's weird, but other people think that's weird for thinking of stuff like that. I wonder frequently, like, what if gravity just, like, disappeared? Like, I expect at any moment that, like, I'm just going to get propelled up toward the ceiling and die from instant impact, and, like, everything on this planet will just, like, be flying around. Because how is it that, I don't know how gravity works, but this is stuff I think about. Like, what's to say that won't ever happen? what's to say that, like, we're not just a bunch of pets that, like, some invisible aliens have, like, some giant invisible aliens have us as pets. And we're in cages and we don't even realize we're in cages. And I don't know. I wonder about this stuff. Like I said, a lot. I always wonder what animals think about. Like, what does it look like in their mind? And it sucks that we will never fucking know. Sorry, I just said it like that. But, like, I want to know, like, what do animals think about when they're just looking around? Like, how do they experience emotions? What are their dreams like? You know, like, and I'll never know the answer to that because we can't fucking talk to animals and they can't talk to us. But it's not abnormal to wonder what they think about. It's also not abnormal to wish that you were a cat for one day, right? I just wish I was a cat for 24 hours. I just want to see what it's like to sleep all day, to get instant pets. Like, you don't even have to ask. You just go up to somebody and they pet you. You shit in a box. Somebody else takes care of that. You know, like, I just want to see what it's like to live like a cat for 24 hours. Like, why don't we have the ability to figure this shit out? Like, I don't think virtual reality is, like, good enough for some of this stuff. I wonder what it's like to be a guy, because I would, like, want to pee everywhere. And I'm sorry that sounds like however it sounds, but, like, I would like to know what that's like to just be able to, like, if you have to pee and you're on a hike, you just whip it out and pee. Like, I don't know. I just would want to see, like, what that's like. Like, how freeing must that be? Oh, God. I heard that. Sorry. Come on, you guys, like, think this way too, right? I think there's a mouse under the stove, and we don't usually get mice. I mean, obviously, like, during the winter, they like to go into houses, and, like, maybe we'll have one, but they always, like, evade being killed. Because, like, our cats, we have 4 cats, and they're fucking stupid. Like, when it comes to chasing things, they just, like, look at it. But we have one cat that does, like, he will chase after things. But anyways, so I think there's a mouse living under there right now, and in my mind, it's a family of 4. There's 2 parents and 2 little baby mice, and they have to survive. And so I don't want to kill anything. Like, I do not want to set mouse traps and kill mice because I think that that's cruel. So I keep throwing little pieces of cat food under the stove, like the hard cat food under the stove, so that they can have sustenance and survive, so that they don't have to go running out from under the stove over to the cat food to steal something and then go back and risk getting killed. Like, why do I think like this? Like, there's probably not a fucking mouse family under the stove, but, like, my cat keeps looking at it every night, so there must be something under there. So I throw food and I tell it, don't come out because you'll die if you come out. Like, that, oh my God, what am I even? I'm not high. I promise I'm not high. I did not just wake up. I've been up for a while. Oh, God. Is this weird that I think like this? The stuff that I've been reading about autism, a lot of it, like, mentions that we have active imaginations. The people that are autistic that I've, like, read their books or listened to, like, their podcast have mentioned that they have, like, active imaginations and they wonder different things. But, like, I just wish that people would go just a little bit more into depth about, like, the specifics, because if I can get some specifics, then I know that, like, I'm not the only one and I don't have to feel like a weirdo, but sometimes I do. And, like, I'm not trying to, like, my wife didn't do anything wrong. Like, I understand. If I were her and she said, I wonder what it would feel like to be chloroformed, I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So I kind of get it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with wondering and trying to imagine how something could be, especially like if you haven't even experienced it before. Like, we have brains. Like, aren't they meant to think about different things? And I would give her a hard time once in a while, like, because she doesn't seem to think about, like, I regularly ask her, like, haven't you ever thought about this? Or, like, I'll say something else one day and I'll be like, don't you think about things like this? And she'll be like, no. And, like, I think, well, what the fuck do you think about all day? Like, it sounds boring in your head. And the things that I just mentioned that I think about fairly regularly, I find entertaining. You know, I don't know. That's why we have brains, to think about different things. Was this like a pointless episode? The purpose of this was just to voice some of my weird thoughts, and maybe somebody out there feels the same way I do. Because, you know, I haven't really come across people in my life that think like I do. And as of right now, I know nobody in real life, like, in person, anybody that I know that would say, yeah, I wonder what it would be like to get chloroformed too. Nobody would say that I know. So where are those people? I know that you guys are out there. It can't just be me. I mean, I don't want to, like, okay, I'm just going to go into a whole thing about chloroform right now, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not a weirdo. I don't want to kill people. And I don't want to just be constantly, like, chloroformed. I just want to know, I mean, I don't want to know what it's like to kill anybody. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to go murder somebody. I just wonder, like, about murderers too. Like, how can you do that? How can you go to sleep at night after you just killed somebody and you buried them in the woods? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm going to just stop talking because I'll probably lose some people after this episode. Yeah, and I'm like 17 minutes in, and I need to publish this because otherwise I'll have wasted 17 minutes. And please relate to this. Please, please, please. Okay. Goodbye.